Have you ever had a shooting stretch like this? I think it's now at this point 19 for 62.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares? I'm a basketball player. Prepare the right way. Like I said, it's a little different when your rhythm is challenged every play down. You're being picked up full court. They're doing things to test you, and the expectations on me are going to be sky high. And I try to utilize their aggression against them and still put my teammates in great positions while still being aggressive. I'm trying to do it all. So, for me, the 22 shots, I should have shot 30.
4 of 18. 8 of 22. 7 of 22. 6 of 21. These numbers sound like baseball batting averages, but they're actually Kyrie Irving shooting numbers in the last 4 games of the Milwaukee Bucks playoff series, in which they lost 4-1. The subject of Kyrie Irving has been coming up a lot lately, and as long-term viewers know, I am a Boston Celtics fan. So let's look at the numbers to start off here with Kyrie. Let's look at his plus-minus, the stat that everybody hails as the deciding factor on if a player is producing for their team. Over the last 4 games, the 4 losses that sent the Boston Celtics home, Kyrie was minus 57 over those 4 games. On average, every game Kyrie played in the last 4, the Celtics lost 15 points to the Bucks. Kyrie Irving is not a leader, he's a follower. And when he thought he was a leader, he ended up screwing over all the chemistry that the Boston Celtics had from last season. He just doesn't fit the Celtics, and the Celtics don't fit Kyrie. Don't get me wrong, I place a lot of the blame on Brad Stevens for not changing his game plan to adjust for one of the best ISO players in the entire NBA. But when you reach the conference finals last year, be it a weaker Eastern Conference team, but still go to the conference finals and bring LeBron James to 7, that has to show you something about the young players that you have on your roster. I mean, Brad Stevens was forced to play Gordon Hayward. I know Gordon Hayward is getting blamed for being one of the major problems of this team, and the fact that he was forced to play by Danny Ainge was one of the biggest problems with this team. But he was not the number 1 problem for the Boston Celtics. It was Kyrie Irving. Think about the Boston Celtics last year. It was ball movement. It was communication on defense. I mean, I would see videos and clips about how the Boston Celtics defense was the future of defense in the NBA. Switching on switches and all these intricate details that Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Morris executed perfectly. But look what happened this year. The Boston Celtics defense is not as good. The ball movement slowed down. Everything that brought the Celtics to the conference finals last year is over now. Kyrie Irving is not a leader. And it came out when he started to blame Terry Rozier and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and all the young players that brought the Celtics to the conference finals last year. Remember, they didn't have Gordon Hayward the entire year. Kyrie Irving went out with about 30 games left in the regular season. You don't just move on to the conference finals after losing your 2 best players, arguably. One at the very start of the season and another nearly halfway through the season. But Kyrie Irving really did not get along with anybody. They were winning and they were doing great and everybody was getting along. But notice Kyrie Irving was on the bench. Terry Rozier came off the bench. Here's a quote from Terry Rozier. "I felt like I went from the passenger seat to being in the trunk." Imagine that, being the starter on a conference championship caliber team, going up against Milwaukee last season, tearing apart Eric Bledsoe, becoming Scary Terry, and now to being the 3rd option off the bench for the Celtics team. Jaylen Brown called Kyrie out. He said it's unfair to single out the young guys when we all need to do better. The guy who really put it all into perspective was Marcus Morris. He's a guy that's going to tell you what he thinks no matter what. He said, we're going to lose games. We have no toughness, no energy, and flat out, we're not having fun. The turmoil in the locker room this season for the Boston Celtics was what undid them. It was the lack of chemistry, the lack of teamwork, and the lack of wanting to play as one team versus playing as individuals. That's what Jaylen Brown said. We're a bunch of individuals. Marcus Morris said, we're a bunch of individuals. And Kyrie Irving seems to be the main problem that creates that issue within that locker room. He called out all the younger Celtics players. And then he comes into the playoffs, has a great round one, a great game one against Milwaukee, and then completely lost it. He choked. He shot 4 of 18. That's less than 20. That's 22.5% from the field. In the closeout game, the clutch game that Kyrie Irving apparently is one of the most clutch players in the NBA, he did not show up. He shot 0 for 7 for 3 in game 4, I believe. I mean, I don't know what to do at this point. Kyrie Irving is not a good fit for the Celtics, and the Celtics are not a good fit for Kyrie Irving. The Celtics will be better without Kyrie Irving. Now, I know there's going to be the common backlash. Talent beats everything. You have LeBron, you have the talent. Look at what happened this season. The Milwaukee Bucks have one of the best talents in the NBA, yes, and Giannis. But look at the teamwork. There was a specific section in the last game of the Milwaukee Bucks Celtics series where the Bucks got about 8 offensive rebounds in a row. And even after there was a foul away from the ball on the floor, look at the face of George Hill. Look at the face of Eric Bledsoe. Everybody was playing as a team. It's unbelievable the complete swap that the Celtics took from last year to this year. And it's sad to say that I would take the team last year over the team this year. I would rather not have Gordon Hayward or Kyrie Irving playing on this team if it means we're going to have these sorts of issues and these sorts of players talking these sorts of things. The locker room is obviously cancerous. So Kyrie could go one of 4 places. That's at least being talked about right now. Of course, we have no clue what could really happen. 1, he could stay in Boston. I don't see that happening. There are rumors that he could be signed and traded for Anthony Davis, but you would have to include one of those younger players with it. Now, the 3 other options which seem most likely. Kyrie's going to decline his player option, and he could go to LA to rejoin LeBron and go to the Lakers, bring Showtime back. He could go to Brooklyn. D'Angelo Russell's going to be a free agent. We don't know if they're going to re-sign him. They should, and they probably will, but there's still that chance that D'Angelo Russell goes for the max somewhere else. And the New York Knicks, which I think have the best chance of getting Kyrie. He wants to be the spotlight. He wants to be the guy on a team, like in a market like New York. I think the Knicks would be the best fit for him. He's going to pair up with a top 3 pick. He could pair up with RJ Barrett or even Zion Williamson. And then the possibility of the Knicks bringing in other free agents would be definitely alluring. But honestly, I could care less where Kyrie goes at this point. It's shown that he needs to be the number 2 guy. Can't be the number 1 guy. Look what happened this year, him being the number 1 guy. He took away from other players. He brought down team chemistry. He brought down team morale. Kyrie, you're a fantastic player, and please don't take this as any personal jab. We're just looking at what happened before our very eyes.